I was surprised to learn that Iconoclasts, a Metroidvania-like 2D platformer, has been out since late January on PS4 and Windows, because I don't remember anyone talking about it. This is a game that absolutely deserves to be talked about, heralded from on high as something you need to experience. It is a breathtakingly gorgeous, maybe one of the prettiest 2D, sprite-based platformers I've ever played. The gameplay is similarly sublime, with excellent environmental puzzles and impressive boss battles. However, there is one big caveat that I did not expect: the story. In particular, how the story is told. Iconoclasts puts you in the role of Robin, a spunky blonde mechanic. She and her fellow citizens live under the thumb of the One Concern, a religious organization that controls the planet's lifeblood, ivory. Ivory is a white gelatinous substance that seems to power all the machines on the planet and is used for more nefarious purposes. The One Concern is, as the game begins, attempting to wipe out another religious society, the Isi, who found its own source of ivory. Robin gets on the One Concern's bad side when it's discovered that she's a mechanic, which is apparently a job reserved only for One Concern tradespeople. At any rate, she quickly befriends an Isi girl and rescues a white-haired boy who claims to hold a high position in the One Concern church. Got all that? Because you're going to hear more about it in a minute. Robin responsibly runs around, shooting enemies and using her giant wrench to open doors and vault to high platforms. At first, she's only equipped with a low-power energy blaster, but as the game goes on, she finds a couple more weapons and upgraded wrenches. Various enemies need to be dealt with in specific ways. The minute-to-minute gameplay of Iconoclasts is fantastic, and the environmental puzzles become increasingly complex. The game's main collectible is chests filled with materials. Where a Metroid game would have missile expansions or energy tanks, Iconoclasts has ivory oil, impruvium, and technium. You can use these materials at craft tables to build tweaks. Tweaks give you passive bonuses, like being able to stay underwater a little longer or run a little faster. You can equip 3 tweaks at a time, but as Robin gets hurt, they'll become damaged until she picks up some sparkly things, one from defeating enemies or destroying little statues strewn about the environment. The game structure is more traditionally level-based than something like Metroid or Symphony of the Night, but within each level there are chests and tweak recipes abound. I was most impressed with the boss battles, virtually all of which require strategic thinking and usually a unique method of engagement. One of the best in the whole thing is a late-game fight with Agent Black, basically a One Concern enforcer, who just refuses to give up. It's a brilliant battle that ties directly into Black's story and to some extent the overall narrative. Oh, the narrative. The game's story is interesting and complex, filled with memorable characters and world building. Unfortunately, it is incredibly intrusive. One minute you're jumping around, shooting enemies and solving puzzles, and the next you're reading what seems to be a novella of backstory and character dialogue. It's not simply that these story sequences go on way too long, because they do, but that they crop up so damn often during the first, 75% of the game. You will learn to love some characters, like Mina, and you'll want to strangle others, Elro. But in both cases you will want them to shut their pie holes and let you get on with playing the game. I expect this kind of interruptive long-form storytelling in Metal Gear Solid, but not a 2D action platformer. You can skip the story sequences, but the story really is quite good, if a little ham-fisted, but I just wish there was way less of it. Apart from my problems with the story, Iconoclasts is virtually flawless. Presentation-wise, Konjac is dangerously close to beating WayForward at their own game. I'm weirdly in love with the sound effects that accompany jumping and landing. While the musical score isn't quite up to Vert standards, a few of the tracks present real earworms. I wish there were a few more movement upgrades or weapons, but I was constantly impressed by how many new uses I found for what I had. Iconoclasts is one of the biggest surprises of the year. Despite occasionally suffering through the stories, I found that I couldn't stop playing. It's about 10 hours long. I can't recommend the game highly enough. Go play it!